Hello, my name is Jess and welcome to the Storyteller Fox. Come along and listen to read aloud books, be it for bedtime, story time, or simply to read along. Hello and welcome to the Storyteller channel. Today we'll be reading you a book from the Thomas and Friends series about Nothing to be Afraid of. It's a story about being scared of the dark. Nothing to be afraid of. It was a busy day on the island of Soda. Henry had spent the day pulling heavy cargo to and from Brendam docks. He needed to rest. So the Fat Controller asked Gordon to pull the flying kipper at night. The kipper is filled with fresh fish and must get to the mainland before it spoils, the Fat Controller explained. And I'll need you, Gordon, to get it there. Yes, of course, sir, Gordon replied, but he was not very happy about his job. I had a busy day too, he moaned, and now I have to do Henry's nighttime run. It just doesn't seem fair if you ask me. But the real reason that Gordon did not want to pull the flying kipper that night was because he was scared of the dark. Imagine a big, fast, splendid engine being afraid of anything, let alone the dark. Gordon was embarrassed that he was scared. Gordon imagined all sorts of scary things at night. There could be creepy creatures lurking everywhere, just waiting to frighten him. Even noises that never bothered him in the daylight scared him. Because when the sun went down, everything was different. An engine always had to watch his wheels in the dark. After the Fat Controller left Tidmouth's sheds, Thomas turned to Gordon. Gordon, he said, shouldn't you go and get the flying kipper? It's getting late, you know. Gordon rolled his eyes at Thomas. Yes, I'm going, he grumbled. Then the big engine pumped his pistons and puffed off to collect the flying kipper. He had not gotten very far when two spooky yellow eyes blinked at him from beside the tracks. Fizzing fireboxes, said Gordon nervously. Steady now. You are a fast and powerful engine. There's nothing to be afraid of. But as he chuffed along, Gordon passed a billowy, white shape blowing out of the station house window. Nothing to be afraid of, except for ghosts, he yelled. Gordon started to hum a little tune to stay calm. It was working until he passed by Farmer McCall's barn. For there, on the side of the building, was a giant winged monster whooshing, swishing, and flapping furiously. Bubbling boilers, cried Gordon. I've had enough. Flying kipper or not, I'm going back to Tidmouth's sheds. When Gordon arrived at the sheds, Henry looked puzzled. Gordon, he said, back so soon? Is everything okay? Well, Gordon said, I did not actually deliver the flying kipper. I was delayed. Delayed? Henry repeated. By what? Gordon began to huff and puff before he spoke. First, by a creepy, yellow-eyed creature. Then, by a white, whooshing ghost, and finally by a frantic, flapping monster. Thomas woke up just in time to hear Gordon talking. Gordon, said Thomas, there must be some mistake. I'm sure we can explain everything that you saw. No, Thomas, Gordon replied. I'm telling you that there were frightening creatures all along the tracks tonight. Suddenly an idea flew into Thomas's funnel. Come with me, Gordon, he said. We'll go get the flying keeper together. I'll show you that there's nothing scary out there. As the two engines chuffed along, they passed the blinking yellow eyes on the side of the tracks. Thomas shined his lamp at the creature. You see, Gordon, he said, it's only a fox. Next, the engines passed the station house, looking for Gordon's ghost. Again, Thomas shined his lamp at the window. Bust my buffers, cried Gordon. Why, it's just the curtains. The big engine felt silly for feeling scared. Finally, as they puffed past Farmer McCoyle's barn, Thomas saw Gordon's creepy flapping creature. Your monster is only a scarecrow, said Thomas. The shadows on the side of the barn made it seem really big in the moonlight. Gordon looked over at his friend. I feel so much better, Thomas. Thank you. You know, Gordon, said Thomas, you can always tell a friend if you're feeling scared. You're right, Thomas, Gordon said. I was afraid to pull the flying keeper in the dark, but I know that I can do it now. I just needed a little help. When Gordon returned to Tidmouth Sheds, the other engines told him how brave he was. Percy even shared a story about when he was afraid of the dark. Once I had to pull the mail train at night to make a special delivery, said Percy. Suddenly, I came across a giant bear on the tracks and I was really scared. I didn't know what to do until Henry came along. We blew our whistles really loudly to wake up the bear. And when I turned my lamp on, said Henry, we saw that Percy's bear was just a big old pile of logs. Phew, the engine started to laugh. See, said Percy, it's always good to tell a friend and ask for help if you're scared. And you should keep your lamp on at night, said Thomas. That way you can see what's really out there. Sometimes I even keep my lamp on when I'm back in my shed, said Henry. At last, Gordon closed his eyes and settled in for the night. He was drifting off to sleep when he suddenly heard a loud creaking sound. Probably just crickets, he said nervously, but I think I'll keep my lamp on, just in case. In no time at all, the big brave engine was fast asleep. Bye-bye and thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe at the Storyteller channel for more interesting videos.
Hello and welcome to the Storyteller channel. In today's story time, I will be reading you a book called Who's Bad and Who's Good? Little Red Riding Hood. It's a story about stranger danger. Who's Bad and Who's Good? Little Red Riding Hood. Written by Steve Smallman and illustrated by Neil Price. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood. It wasn't her real name, it was just what everyone called her because she was little and always wore a red cloak with a hood. One day, her mum asked her to take some cupcakes and soup to her grandma, who lived in the woods. Stick to the path and don't talk to strangers, said her mum. And if you do meet a stranger, yell, run, and tell. Who should I tell? Asked Little Red Riding Hood. Someone you know, or a policeman, or a person in a shop, replied her mum. On the way to Grandma's house, Little Red Riding Hood heard someone coughing behind a tree. It was a wolf. "Hello, what are you doing out here all by yourself?" he croaked. "A stranger," gasped Little Red Riding Hood. "I'm going to my grandma's house, so leave me alone," she yelled. She ran and ran until she met a rabbit. "Oh, hello. What's wrong?" asked Rabbit. A rabbit. "Oh, hello. What's wrong?" asked the rabbit. "I'm on my way to Grandma's house with some cakes and soup, and I saw a big bad wolf, but I yelled and ran away," gabbled Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh dear, how awful," said Rabbit. "Why don't you pick some flowers for your dear grandma? Then I'll come with you to keep you safe." "Oh, thank you," said Little Red Riding Hood. "That would be lovely." While Little Red Riding Hood picked flowers, she told Rabbit all about her grandma. "She's very old and she still lives all by herself. Mum says it's not safe for her to be all alone, especially when she's got so much jewelry. I can't wait to meet her," said Rabbit. Meanwhile, the wolf arrived, huffing and puffing at Grandma's cottage. Knock, knock. He knocked on the door, then went inside. When Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, she found someone snuggled up in Grandma's bed wearing a nightie and cap. "Oh, Grandma, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Well, they must work better than yours," replied the wolf. "I'm not your grandma." "Eek! It's the wolf!" shrieked Little Red Riding Hood. "He's eaten your grandma!" yelled Rabbit. "Oh no, Grandma!" wailed Little Red Riding Hood. "Yes, dear," replied Grandma, walking into the room carrying a tea tray. "What on earth is the matter?" "Oh, I thought this big bad wolf had eaten you," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "I didn't," croaked the wolf. "He was about to," cried Rabbit, moving towards the door. But just then, crash! A policeman burst in. "Thank goodness you're here," cried Little Red Riding Hood. "Arrest him!" "I will," said the policeman, and he grabbed the rabbit by the ears. "Will someone please tell me what is going on here?" shouted Little Red Riding Hood. So Grandma told her, "Mr. Wolf is a friend of mine. He came to warn me that you were all alone in the woods and that you were talking to strangers, so we called the police. Mr. Wolf looked poorly when he got here, so I made him put on something warm and get into bed. Then I made some tea. So that's why you're wearing Grandma's nightie and cap," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Yes," replied Mr. Wolf. "I might look silly, but I'm lovely and warm." "Even though you yelled and ran away, you told me where you were going, and you spoke to Rabbit, but you didn't know him either," said Mr. Wolf. "But he's really nice," argued Little Red Riding Hood. "No, he isn't," said the policeman. "This is the famous bunny burglar. We've been after him for ages." The policeman tipped Rabbit's bag upside down, and out fell Little Red Riding Hood's cupcakes, the soup, the grandma's jewelries, and many things that they'd never seen before. The policeman led Rabbit away. "I was so sure Rabbit was good and Wolf was bad," sighed Little Red Riding Hood. "You can't always tell who's bad and who's good. Mr. Wolf is lovely, and now you know him, he's not a stranger," said Grandma. Little Red Riding Hood looked over at Mr. Wolf, who was sitting in bed, drinking tea and still wearing Grandma's nightie and cap. "Well, He might not be a stranger, giggled Little Red Riding Hood, but he definitely looks strange. The end. I hope you've enjoyed the story. For more exciting stories, please remember to like and subscribe at the Storyteller channel. Bye for now.
The end. And that's the end of our story time. For more bedtime stories, you can check on our YouTube playlist or listen to more storytime compilations at the Storyteller Fox. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.